Hey everybody, it's Amy Berger from 2itnutrition.com here again, bringing you keto without the crazy. If I look kind of similar as in my previous video is because I'm recording them back to back. All I did was change my shirt. So that means I still have my cold. So if I sniffle or I cough, I'm still sick because it's only about 5 minutes after I recorded the other video. Thanks again for joining me. And if I'm looking down, obviously it's because as per usual, I have some notes. Today's topic, I hinted at this last time that it was going to be kind of similar to the previous video, but different content. So this is my plea, my begging, my just imploring you to stop overcomplicating keto. Keto is really so very simple and straightforward, and it's being made into this complicated, multi-layered thing that really, I think, puts a lot of people off. It intimidates a lot of people, it scares them away, and I don't blame them. I've said to so many people, and I think I've even said it in one of my earliest videos, that I don't envy people who are new to keto now. When I was new to this in very late 1990s, kind of 98, 99, and then I didn't really stick with it then. I stuck with it in the very early 2000s, around 2003. At that time, so many of these complicating factors didn't exist, or if they did exist, they weren't available to like regular folk like me and you, like the general public. You know, you had to maybe be part of a clinical trial or some research study to have access to things like a ketone meter or MCT oil. Like you couldn't just go to the store and buy that. There also were really only one or two forums and websites for low carb diets, and there was a handful of books, maybe 4 or 5 books, like the Atkins book. There was Protein Power, the Schwarzbein Principle. There were a couple of early books. I don't know if Ron Rosedale wrote a book that he might have had a book called The Rosedale Diet. But it was a very limited amount of information. And really, truly, in many ways, you were better off having less information because there was less misinformation, less complication. You knew that all you really had to do was eat foods that were very low in carbohydrate. You know, if you could see some of the emails that I get from people that are thinking about doing this or that have started already, but they're like paralyzed by uncertainty and being overwhelmed with conflicting information and confusing information. Like I've always said, the anxiety radiates out of the email. I can feel it coming out of the screen at me. And I don't know how this happened. I mean, you can sort of see how it happened. You see what's going on the internet now, and in bookstores as well, and in food aisles, you know. But I don't know why there seems to be this need to take something that's so simple and make it so unsimple, so complicated. So let's see, where do I have to be? Oh, let's start with the most obvious thing. I keep saying keto is very simple. Everyone's trying to make it crazy and complicated. There is one thing that you need to do to be successful on a ketogenic diet. One thing. Do you know what that is? Don't eat sugar or starch. That's rule 1. If you want to make it complicated, you know what rules 2 through 99 are? It's not straight? Yeah, rules 2 through 99. See, rule 1. This is literally the only thing you have to do to be successful on a ketogenic diet. Now, just like last time, let me explain. What makes this diet effective, what induces the metabolic switch from you being a carb burner to you being a fat burner, from having a carbohydrate-based metabolism to having a fat and ketone-based metabolism, is the absence of carbohydrate from your diet, or the absence of most carbohydrate from your diet. It is the very, very low carb intake that prompts the fat burning, not the very, very high fat intake, not the buttery coffees, not the exogenous ketones, not the MCT oil, so not fasting for a week, Not even exercise. You don't have to exercise to lose weight on keto. I mentioned in a previous video, Dr. Eric Westman has patients in wheelchairs who do fine on keto. They're physically unable to exercise and they still lose weight. They still improve their diabetes. All that other good stuff still happens. They're not out jogging. They're not on the elliptical machine. You don't need the cold showers. You don't need the saunas. You don't need any of this other stuff that people are into these days. Now, again, just like I mentioned in the previous video with like talking about the keto products, the bars and shakes and almond flour cookies and all that, it's not that all this other stuff, whether it's fasting or exercise or, all that other stuff, it's not that that's not helpful or that it doesn't maybe have other benefits unrelated to some things with keto, but they're not essential. They're not necessary. If you are brand new to keto, or if you're well, let's stick with the new people. If you're brand new to keto, just master this. Master the first, most fundamental, most important thing. Worry about everything else later. Stick with this for a while. And if you get to a point where it's not working, then you look at the other stuff. Then how am I sleeping? Maybe I'm not moving around enough. Maybe I am too stressed out and my cortisol is always high, which makes my blood sugar high, which makes my insulin high, which makes it harder to lose weight. So stick with the tried and true, master the simple rules. You got to learn to follow the rules before you break them, right? You got to learn to crawl before you walk, walk before you run, run before you can sprint. So it's all a process. You don't have to do everything all at once. And again, to clarify, stuff like ketone meters and blood sugar meters and weighing and measuring your food and all that stuff can be helpful, especially if you've mastered the most important thing, if you've mastered all the things and you're not getting the results you want, then all that stuff can help because, especially if you're using a ketogenic diet as a therapy to help you with a medical condition, and a disclaimer here, let's remember I'm a nutritionist, I'm not a physician, none of this is medical advice, I don't cure, prevent, or treat or diagnose any disease. But if you are using keto to manage a medical issue, it's a very different ballgame than using this to lose weight. So in situations where you might have a medical necessity to have a high ketone level or an especially low blood sugar level, or I don't know what, maybe you have some type of nutritional malabsorption thing that you need to make sure you're getting higher amounts of specific nutrients, there is a place for weighing and measuring your food and keeping track of everything and measuring your ketones and measuring your glucose. But I really insist that if you're going to measure that stuff, you have to understand the nuance. You have to understand that the fluctuations throughout the day in ketones and blood sugar are normal. You're not going to have the same blood sugar all day, every day. You're not going to have the same ketone level all day, every day. It doesn't work that way. If you're on a very, very low carb diet, you're probably going to have only very small fluctuations in something like blood glucose. You're not going to have these wild ups and downs like we see in a carb eater or in a carb eater who's carb intolerant. But it is going to change a little bit throughout the day. So you can't live and die by those numbers. It's okay to track, but please have an appreciation for all of the overlapping and redundant biochemical pathways that keep things at a certain level or don't keep things at a certain level. So you can't necessarily look at the numbers and automatically think that you did something wrong or did something especially right with your diet. You have to, there's all kinds of factors that go into regulating some of those numbers. So it is okay to track, but understand what you see, understand how to interpret the numbers that you see. I can link to some blog posts maybe in the notes for this video that I've written on measuring ketones. I even had a video on measuring ketones, so you look for that video in my channel. So I guess, you really just need the one thing. You don't have to fast. You don't have to eat just one meal a day. They call that OMAD online. You'll see OMAD. That's for one meal a day. All of that stuff is little tricks to kind of goose things if you're not getting the results you want. But if you're brand new, get used to this way of eating, get accustomed, let your body adjust, let your body get used to things, then mess around with all this pie in the sky stuff that you might not even need. I see a lot of people just, it's hard to find the right phrase to describe what I mean, but becoming very anxious and fearful about their eating and the timing of their eating and all kinds of other stuff that is actually detracting from the ketogenic diet or a low carb diet. This way of eating, or any other way of eating that you adopt for your health, is supposed to help you. It's supposed to be a positive influence in your life, right? It's supposed to make you feel better, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally. If it's not, if it's making you feel worse because you're so scared of food, or you're very, very, very hungry, but you're only allowed to eat during an 8-hour window or a 4-hour window, so you're not allowed to eat until the clock hits a certain time, stop doing that. Just eat when you're hungry. Once you're off the blood sugar roller coaster and you can trust the signals that your body is sending you, and you're not just craving chips or crisps, or depending if you're in the UK or wherever, when you're not craving junk food, it's okay to trust your body. If you're genuinely hungry and you're in the mood for a true meal, have a meal. Don't force yourself to go hungry because you just created some arbitrary window for yourself. And again, I did a video on fasting. You can look for that. It's not that fasting is not helpful. It can absolutely be beneficial. I'm just saying, if you find yourself in the situation where you've become overwhelmed by all this stuff that you're hearing from all these different sources, and you feel very boxed in and you almost feel panicky about keto, take a breath and get yourself out of the box that you've boxed yourself into. So you have total control over this. Get out of that emotional box and just go enjoy your food. Go enjoy your keto food. Keep watching my videos. If you find these helpful, please subscribe to the channel. I mentioned last time, if you have ideas for topics you'd like me to cover, please send me an email at tuitnutrition@gmail.com, TUIT nutrition@gmail.com. You can leave a comment, but I can't guarantee that I'll see it. I'm not able to always keep up with the comments. I think my next video is going to be about dining out on a ketogenic diet, how to navigate restaurants when you're on keto or low carb. I see online people like excuse me, traveling to a new city, and they'll post like, hey, do you know of any keto restaurants in such and such town? And I'm like, what do you mean? Every restaurant is keto friendly if you know how to customize your order. Even a pizza parlor, right? You can eat the cheese and pepperoni. I'll talk about that in detail next time, but there's no such thing as a keto restaurant. All restaurants are keto if you know what to order. There might be a keto restaurant someday. Maybe somebody will devise that concept. I know Mark Sisson has a chain of primal restaurants where they, only use like good oils, good quality meats, stuff like that. No gluten, none of that. But that'll be the next topic. And then I think after that, or maybe sometime in the future, I'm going to do a video on ketogenic diets for neurological and neurodegenerative disorders. So if you or someone in your life is dealing with Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, ALS, which they also call Lou Gehrig's disease, or traumatic brain injury, or migraines actually fall into that too, you'll want to catch that video. I'm not sure. I think I should do that. I think there would be some interest in that. So I will try to put something together on that in a couple of videos down the line. That's going to be a long one, though. I got to warn you. That's a huge topic. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. And you can read my blog at tuitnutrition.com. See you next time.